What's up, everyone? This is the Next Take Podcast, episode 177 with Mikel and
Tanyka.
for real conversations on different topics. So today is our Black History Month episode. It is the fourth episode of our Black History Month series.
Fourth and final, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So if you guys want to check out the last three, it is available now. Like I said in our previous episodes, if you guys want to check out last year and the year before, they're also available on the podcast. So check those out, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So what are we talking about on today's episode of this podcast?
So this topic I picked is actually pretty strategic on my part because once we finish up Black History Month, we're heading into Women's History Month.
Mhm.
So this is a Black woman who has shaped women's health, really, in a tragic way, but definitely has. And her name is Anarcha Westcott. So that's who we're going to be talking about in this episode.
Okay.
All right. So let's jump into it.
Go ahead.
So, Anarcha Westcott, she was born sometime in 1828, and she died in June 27th, 1869, was an enslaved woman who is known as the mother of modern gynecology for having undergone a series of experimental surgical procedures conducted by physician J. Marion Sims without the use of anesthesia in order to develop treatments for vescovaginal fistula and rectovaginal fistula resulting from traumatic childbirth, primarily aimed at benefiting white female patients. Sims' medical experimentation on Anarcha and other enslaved women and its role in the development of modern gynecology has generated controversy among medical historians, particularly because enslaved women have not had the right to refuse involvement. So for many years, little was known about Anarcha, and the only source of her existence was Sims' writings, as she was illiterate by law. Most information came from Sims' records of his experiments. She first appears in the autobiography of J. Marion Sims as a, quote, little mulatto girl living in the doctor's house in Mount Meigs, Alabama. As he says on the following page, quote, a little Negro girl would sleep in the room with me and hand me a drink of water occasionally. Anarcha next turns up as a young colored woman about 17 years of age, well-developed, belonging to a Mr. Westcott, who lived a mile from Sims' house, at that time in Montgomery, Alabama. Sims was called in to assist after her labor lasted 3 days, which is no bueno. Whereas Anarcha's, quote, colleague, Betsy, on whom Sims would operate for a similar problem, had married last year. No source comments on how Anarcha became pregnant. After the stillbirth, Anarcha was brought back to Sims because she had several unhealed tears in her vagina and rectum, which is something that is very common with childbirth. You can get tears of both ends. A vesicovaginal fistula and a rectovaginal fistula. These tears meant she had no control over her urine or feces, which caused her to have excruciating pain from her uncontrollable bowel and urine movements flowing through her open wounds. Can you imagine? Maybe you can't quite imagine. That sounds absolutely torturous. Oh my God. Okay. Being unable to control her urine and feces led to infections, obviously, inflamed tissue, and odor. I think the odor is the least of the issues here. Sims performed 30 experimental operations with opium as anesthesia on Anarcha before successfully closing the fistula and tears. During the procedures, Arnica was given opium as the judge just mentioned. While opium was a common pain management tool in the 19th century, white women often had access to anesthesia, such as ether or chloroform, during medical procedures. In contrast, Arnica and other enslaved women were denied this option. The framing of Sims' use of opium as a standard for the time can obscure the reality that white women were treated very differently and afforded more humane care because Black people were treated as animals, right? Sims, as a physician, could have chosen to use anesthesia, but he intentionally chose not to for his experiments on enslaved Black women like Arnica. The experimental procedures that Sims performed on Arnica and other enslaved people revolutionized gynecological surgery. The technique Sims developed became the first ever treatment on vesicovaginal fistula. On December 21st, 1856, Arnica, who was about 32, was admitted to Sims Women's Hospital in New York with the notation that she stayed about a month and was discharged in January of 1857 as cured. Her owner was William Lewis Murray, U.S. Navy, Caroline County, Virginia. That's where she was. The
Mm,
circumstances of her trip to New York are unknown.
mm,
A tombstone for Anna Kay, so not Arnica, but Anna Kay, wife
right.
of Lorenzo Jackson, was found by chance in King George County, Virginia, adjacent to Caroline County. In the 1870 census, her name is spelled Anna Key, so it's Anaky Jackson, and on her death record, Ann Key, Ankey. The death date on the vital statistics does not match that on her tombstone, which is 1869 or 70. Filmmaker Carples concludes that all of these are the same Arnica that Sims treated in Alabama. If she was 32 in 1856, she was born in 1824 and pregnant at 13 when she first was treated by Sims. So, a baby. In 2015, author J.C. Hallman became obsessed with finding Arnica. He published articles about Sims and Arnica in Harper's Magazine, the Montgomery Advertiser, and the Baffler, and his work to discover Arnica's final resting place is featured in Josh Carple's documentary film Remembering Arnica. Hallman's book was published in 2023 as Say Arnica, a Young Woman, a Devious Surgeon, and the Harrowing Birth of Modern Women's Health.
Mm,
Say Arnica went on to be praised by the New York Times as a truly astounding tale, compelling and well researched, into an important book that deserves to be read widely. The Brooklyn Rail called the book an instant classic and a new masterpiece, and noted that Hallman had done what no scholar had previously succeeded in doing, namely unearthing information about Arnica, independent of Sims' accounts of her life. Publishers Weekly praised the book in starred review as innovative and riveting, a must-read. Um, and Booklist also a starred review called the book commending and affecting and grimly relevant. One of the principal discoveries in Say Arnica was that Arnica never took the name Arnica Westcott. She died with the surname Jackson, and the name on her gravestone in Virginia is Anna K. Jackson, like I've mentioned. Hallman has also located the living descendants of Arnica and her husband, Lorenzo. Efforts are underway to ensure that her gravesite is properly protected and memorialized. Arnica's descendants include the president of Dillard University, Dr. Rochelle Ford. A small statue of Arnica Westcott was erected by protesters near the statue of Sims on the grounds of the Alabama State Capitol. It was then quickly stolen. Feminist hardcore punk band War on Women wrote a song called Arnica on their 2018 album, Capture the Flag, honoring Arnica Westcott. It denounces the actions of Sims and their impact on Arnica and the other two named women he is known to have experimented on. as well as the more general context of men imposing their will on the bodies of women as a way of remembering all the other women who suffered similar fates and whose names were ignored and forgotten at the time. In 2021, artist Michelle Browder toured the country raising funds and asking for donations of discarded metal objects, which she would weld to construct a 15-foot memorial to Anarcha Westcott and two other women, Betsy and Lucy. We mentioned Betsy a little earlier, who were experimented on by Sims. The work, the Mothers of Gynecology Monument, was completed in San Francisco, and the sculpture was erected in Montgomery, Alabama, as part of a wider campus project to bring awareness to the Mothers of Gynecology movement.
Mm,
So not a lot, but that is Arnica Westcott. I remember
okay.
first hearing about her a little while ago, and not I guess in today's modern world, you tend to forget that gynecology didn't just happen. There's
Right.
as many other things, right? It just didn't just happen.
Mhm, mhm.
And I thought it, well, I hate to say the word amazing, but also devastating that an enslaved Black woman was kind of the start of that. And just another show of Black women in general we're strong individuals. And yeah,
It's good.
that's all I got to
Alright,
say.
alright.
Yeah.
No, well, I have nothing else to say, so that's
Yeah.
awesome.
But yeah, that's the end of this episode. And now we're going to be heading into Women's History Month next month.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah,
Alright,
that's it for me.
alright.
Okay.
Peace, guys.
Bye. If you liked what you heard with our podcast, you can head on over to our website, which is solo.to/next take podcast. There you can get any of the links to any of our social media, which is Facebook, Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod. You can also find links to our Reddit page and many other things, I'm sure. Can't remember all off the top of my head. You can also email us at mikeltanyka@gmail.com. There you can send us any inquiries, if you have any questions, or also any episode ideas. And if you do have episode ideas, just make sure you put in the subject line episode ideas, and we'll add it to our list. If you also liked us, you can like us, rate us, follow us on any of your favorite podcast apps. You can rate us, however, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. We would greatly appreciate that. And we'll also move forward and share or spot a light on those who give us 5-star ratings in the future. That is it for us. We'll see you next time for the episode.